Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, January 21st, 2022. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college basketball, NBA, and NHL games, look ahead to today's and the weekend's games in each sport. Then I'll do my picks for the NFL Divisional Round, which begins tomorrow. We'll do Australian Open. We'll do the American Express Tournament, news and notes, and my best bet of the day. All right, we're going to start in college basketball like we've been doing on the show literally every day. We will recap the games from yesterday, and we will look ahead to the games for today and the rest of the weekend. Florida State over North Florida, 86-73. Number 21 Providence over Georgetown, 83-75. Winthrop over Presbyterian, 60-58. Indiana upsets number 4 Purdue, 68-65. Akron over Bowling Green, 91-66. UMass over St. Louis, 91-85. SMU over Memphis, 70-62. Tennessee Tech over SIU Edwardsville, 94-76. Morehead State over Belmont, 83-74. Austin P over Tennessee Martin, 72-57. FIU over Marshall, 70-66. FAU over Western Kentucky, 78-69. North Texas over Charlotte, 65-51. Rice State over IUPUI, 73-45. Coastal over Georgia Southern, 76-72. App State over Georgia State, 61-60. VMI over Stanford, 99-80. Chattanooga over UNC Greensboro, 72-64. Drexel over Elon, 77-49. Delaware over William & Mary, 84-74. UNC Wilmington over James Madison, 71-70. Towson over Charleston, 74-67. Number 16 USC over Colorado, 61-58. Sam Houston over New Mexico State, 71-46. Stephen F. Austin over Grand Canyon, 71-46. Texas State over Little Rock, 69-59. Troy over Yale Monroe, 73-65. Monmouth over Fairfield, 61-58. Southeast Missouri State over Tennessee State, 85-63. Rice over Old Dominion, 77-69. Montana State over Northern Arizona, 89-84. Nichols over Northwestern States, 69-58. Utah Valley over Texas Rio Grande, 66-56. Cal Baptist over Tarleton, 88-84. Seattle over Abilene Christian, 72-62. Northern Kentucky over UIC, 74-70 in overtime. Milwaukee over Oakland, 88-78. Green Bay over Detroit, 70-63. Arkansas State over Texas Arlington, 75-70. South Alabama over Louisiana, 77-70. Oral Roberts over North Dakota, 80-76. South Dakota State over St. Thomas, Minnesota, 92-77. UMKC over North Dakota State, 80-77. Houston Baptist over Incarnate Word, 68-65. Texas A&M Corpus Christi over McNeese, 60-56. New Orleans over Southeast Louisiana, 78-72. Murray State over Eastern Illinois, 91-51. Number 25 UConn over Butler, 75-56. Boise State over Utah State, 62-59. Air Force over UNLV, 69-62. Cincinnati over Tulsa, 90-69. UTEP over UTSA, 69-64. Weber State over Idaho State, 93-63. Or 95-63. Northern Colorado over Idaho, 87-70. Eastern Washington over Sacramento State, 75-62. Dixie State over Lamar, 71-55. BYU over San Diego, 79-71. St. Mary's over Santa Clara, 73-65. Cal State Fullerton over UC Irvine, 65-63. Long Beach State over San Diego, 87-69. UC Davis over Cal State Northridge, 64-47. Hawaii over Cal State Bakersfield, 63-59. Montana over Portland State, 66-64. Number 1 Gonzaga over San Francisco, 78-62. Number 3 Arizona over Stanford, 85-57. Number 9 UCLA over Utah, 63-58. Loyola Marymount over Pepperdine, 85-80 in overtime. And Washington over Oregon State, 82-72. Now we look ahead to tonight's games. 6 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, you have Toledo and Ohio. My projections, Ohio by 5.5, total 143.1. Meanwhile, it is 4.5 and 147.5. I'll take the under. 7 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, number 17, Illinois at Maryland. My projection is Illinois by 7 and 5/8, total 143.3. Meanwhile, 7 and 140, I'll take the over. Evansville and Illinois State. My projection is Illinois State by 2 3/4, total 142.95. Meanwhile, it's 7.5 and 133.5. Ooh. Big edge on the over, big edge on Evansville. I'm going to go with the over because the bigger edge lies there. Central Connecticut State and St. Francis, Pennsylvania. My projection is St. Fran, PA by 6 and 3/8 total 140.3. Meanwhile, it's 7.5 and 138.5. Close edges on both the over and Central Con. But I'm going to go with the over. Sacred Heart and Mount St. Mary's. My projection is Mount St. Mary's by 7.5, total 139.15. Meanwhile, it's 2.5 and 133.5. Over. Bryant Merrimack. My projection is Bryant by 2 3/4, total 133.3. Meanwhile, it's 2.5 and 132.5. So very close. Like 0.2 close and a quarter close. So, oh wait, no, Mount St. Mary's is. Wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. 2.5 and 132.5. So, I was looking at the wrong total, guys. My apologies. So, slight over is the pick. Wagner LIU. My projection is Wagner by 8 3/8, total 140.55. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 144.5. I'm going to lay the points with Wagner. St. Francis, Brooklyn, and Fairleigh Dickinson. My projection is Fairleigh Dickinson by 2, total 139. Meanwhile, it is 1 and 145. Under. Youngstown State and Cleveland State. My projection is Cleveland State by 15 and 1/8, total 144.65. Meanwhile, it's 8 and 142. I'm laying the points. Robert Morris and Purdue Fort Wayne. My projection is Fort Wayne by 12, total 144.65. Meanwhile, 7.5 and 144.5. I'm laying the points. St. Bonaventure in Duquesne on ESPN2. My projection here is St. Bonaventure by a whopping 17 and 5/8, total 139.75. Well, it's 5.5 and 137.5. I'm laying the points. Ryder Canisius. My projection is Ryder by 11 and 5/8, total 140.5. Meanwhile, it is Canisius by 4.5, total 144. I'm taking Ryder plus the points and plus whatever on the money line. St. Peter's and Niagara. My projection for this game is St. Peter's by 13, total 130.3. Meanwhile, it's Niagara by 2, total 122.5. I'm taking St. Peter's plus the points and plus whatever on the money line. Siena and Manhattan. My projection is Manhattan by 4 1/8, total 140.75. Meanwhile, it's 2 and 136. Over. 8 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, Kent State, Buffalo. My projection is Buffalo by 7 3/4, so 142.7. Meanwhile, it's 7.5 and 146. Under. 9 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, number 14, Michigan State at number 8, Wisconsin. Great game. My projection is Wisconsin by a quarter, total 139.35. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 140. I'm taking Michigan State plus the points. I don't know if they'll win outright. They have a shot, but I don't know if they actually will. And 11 o'clock, Fresno State and Nevada. My projection is Nevada by 3 1/4, total 136.95. Meanwhile, it's 1 and 136. I'm going to lay the 1 with Nevada over Fresno State in what my mind is a Vegas nose line. All right, Saturday. 12 o'clock on ESPN, Syracuse at number 6, Duke. On Fox, number 11, Villanova, Georgia Tech. On ESPN2, West Virginia, number 18, Texas Tech. ESPNU, Temple, South Florida. Fox Sports 1, Seton Hall, St. John's. Virginia Tech, BC. UMBC, Maine. Northern Kentucky, IPUI. Hofstra, Northeastern. Big Ten Network, Rutgers, Minnesota. 12:30, George Washington, Rhode Island. CBS, 1 o'clock, number 12, Kentucky, number 2, Auburn. huge game. And I mean big time as big time can get. I mean, if I had a projection for that one in my head, it would be about Kentucky 1.5 would be like my line in my head. Lehigh, BU, UMass Lowell, New Hampshire, Oakland, Green Bay, Valpo, Indiana State, Chattanooga, VMI, Elon, Delaware, Vandy, Florida on SEC Network, CBS Sports Network 1:30, Army, Navy, 2 o'clock ESPN 2, Oklahoma State, and number 23, Texas, Bucknell, Holy Cross, ESPN, Tulane, UCF, American, Loyola, Maryland, Southern Miss, Middle Tennessee, UNC Asheville, Radford, Gardner-Webb, Winthrop, ESPN, Florida State, Miami, Princeton, Dartmouth, Harvard, Cornell, Brown, Columbia, Coastal Carolina, Georgia State, Davidson, Fordham, UNC Wilmington, Towson, William & Mary, Drexel, Bowling Green, Western Michigan, Fox Sports 1, Colorado State Air Force, 2:30 on USA Network, St. Joe's, VCU, 3 o'clock, number 5, Baylor at Oklahoma, Charlotte, Rice, New Mexico State, Stephen F. Austin, Grand Canyon, Sam Houston, Longwood, Presbyterian, Detroit, Milwaukee, Texas State, Arkansas State, Texas, Arlington, Little Rock, South Alabama, UL Monroe, App State, Georgia Southern, South Dakota State, Western Illinois, San Jose State, UNLV, CBS Sports Network, Missouri State, and number 22, Loyola, Chicago, Mississippi Valley State, Grambling, Northern Illinois, Miami of Ohio, SEC Network, Georgia, South Carolina, 4 o'clock, number 7, Kansas at Kansas State, ESPN 2, TCU at number 15, Iowa State, Jackson State, Bethune-Cookman, Howard, Morgan State, Southeast Louisiana, Nichols, UC Irvine, Long Beach State, SAU, Edwardsville, Moorhead State, Austin Peay, Tennessee State, Alcorn State, Florida A&M, SC State, Maryland Eastern, UAB, Louisiana Tech, Marshall, FAU, Montana, Northern Arizona, Idaho State, Southern Utah, Lamar, Utah Valley, Cal Baptist, Abilene Christian, High Point, Hampton, Charleston Southern, USC Upstate, ESPN, Notre Dame, Louisville, ACC Network, Virginia, NC State, Yale, Penn, Omaha, Denver, the Citadel, East Tennessee State, Charleston, James Madison, ESPN U, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, 4:30, Southeast Missouri State, Eastern Illinois, NC Central, Delaware State, Houston Baptist, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Stetson, North Alabama, Richmond, LaSalle, Big Ten Network, Penn State, Iowa, 5 o'clock, Sacramento State, Idaho, Northern Colorado, Eastern Washington, Northwestern State, New Orleans, McNeese, Incarnate Word, Campbell, NC&T, Kennesaw State, Lipscomb, Florida Gulf Coast, Jacksonville State, Sanford, UNC Greensboro, Western Carolina, Mercer, 5:30, CBS Sports Network, DePaul, Creighton, 6 o'clock, ESPN 2, East Carolina, number 10, Houston, on ESPN, number 13, LSU, number 24, Tennessee. That's another monster of a game. And a projection here would be approximately and who's home? Tennessee. Tennessee by 3 7/8 would be a potential projection there. Approximate, I should say. Pine Bluff, Southern, Coppin State, Norfolk State, Old Dominion, North Texas, Pitt, Clemson on ACC Network, ESPN U is Drake, Northern Iowa, SEC Network, Missouri, Alabama, 6:30 Pac-12 Network, number 16 USC at Utah, Alabama State, Prairie View, 7 o'clock Western Kentucky, FIU, Stony Brook, Albany, Hartford, Vermont, Binghamton, NJIT, North Florida, Eastern Kentucky, Jacksonville, Bellarmine, Dayton, George Mason, Furman, Wofford, Ball State, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Akron, 7:30 San Francisco, Pepperdine, CBS Sports Network, New Mexico, Wyoming, 8 o'clock Tennessee, Martin, Murray State, Seattle, Tarleton, ACC Network, North Carolina, Wake, Rice State, UIC, Troy, Louisiana, Southern Illinois, Bradley, North Dakota State, Oral Roberts, North Dakota, UMKC, South Dakota, St. Thomas, Minnesota, 8:30 Alabama A&M, Texas Southern, San Diego Pacific, A&M and Arkansas on SEC Network, 9 o'clock number 9 UCLA, Colorado, UC San Diego, Cal State Fullerton, Texas Rio Grande, Dixie State, Portland BYU, 9:30 CBS Sports Network, Boise State, San Diego State. 10 o'clock, Hawaii, Cal Poly. UC Riverside, Cal State Northridge. Montana State, Portland State. ESPN U, St. Mary's, Loyola Marymount. And 11 o'clock, Arizona State against Stanford. Sunday, 12 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, Butler, number 21, Providence. 1 o'clock, Big Ten Network, Northwestern, number 4, Purdue. St. Fran, Brooklyn, Bryant. Rider, Niagara. St. Peter's, Canisius. 2 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, number 20, Xavier at Marquette. Central Connecticut, Mount St. Mary's. Youngstown State, Purdue, Fort Wayne. Illinois State, Evansville. Fairfield, Marist. Manhattan, Monmouth. Iona, Quinnipiac. 2:30, UMass St. Louis. 3 o'clock, Pac-12 Network, number 3, Arizona at Cal. ESPN, Memphis, Tulsa. Wagner, Merrimack. Robert Morris, Cleveland State. 3:30 on CBS, Michigan, Indiana. 4 o'clock, UTEP, UTSA. Sacramento, St. Fran, PA. 5 o'clock, Clayton, Georgia Tech. 7 o'clock, LIU, Fairleigh Dickinson. And 10 o'clock, Washington, Oregon. All right, now move on to the NBA. We will recap the games from last night, and we will look ahead to tonight and the rest of the weekend. Pelicans over the Knicks, 102-91. Suns over the Mavericks, 109-101. And the Pacers over the Warriors, 121-117 in overtime. Now tonight's window, 7 o'clock, you have the Thunder and the Hornets. My prediction is Charlotte by 14 and 3/8, total 218-75. Meanwhile, it is 9 and 221.5. I'm laying the points with Charlotte. Lakers Magic, my projection is Lakers by 11.5, total 218.3. Meanwhile, it's 5 and 219.5. I'm laying the 5 with the Lakers. Clippers 76ers, my projection is 76ers by 10.25, total 212.55. Meanwhile, it's 9 and 223.5. Or 213.5. Oh boy. Slight 76ers. 7:30 Heat Hawks. My projection is the Hawks by 1 and 1/8, total 217.95. Meanwhile, it's 2 and 220.5 under. Trailblazers Celtics. My projection is Boston by 14.5, total 216.95. Meanwhile, it's 8 and 213. I'm laying the points with Boston. Raptors Wizards at 8 o'clock. My projection is Washington by 3 and 5/8, total 215.45. Meanwhile, it's 1.5 and 217.5. Laying the 1.5 with the Wizards. It's low enough for me to take it. On ESPN tonight, the Bulls and the Bucks. My projection is Milwaukee by 17.25, total 220.05. Meanwhile, it's 9.5 and 228. I love, big edge on the under and big edge on the Bucks. So I'm going to go actually with the under. 8:30 Nets Spurs. My projection is Brooklyn by 3 and 3/8, total 221.35. Meanwhile, it's 2 and 234 under. Kevin Durant's out, so that should automatic under. Grizzlies Nuggets. My projection is Denver 1, total 217.05. Meanwhile, it's Denver 3.5, total 222 under. Pistons Jazz. My projection is Utah by 22 and 3/4, total 217.8. Meanwhile, it's 13.5 and 220.5. Laying the points with the Jazz. And last but not least, the Rockets and the Warriors at 10 o'clock. My projection is Golden State by 17 and 7/8, total 218.45. Meanwhile, it's 10 and 228.5. Under. All right, to the weekend. Saturday, 7 o'clock, Kings Bucks. 8 o'clock, NBA TV, Thunder Cavaliers. And 9 o'clock, the Pacers and the Suns. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Clippers Knicks. 3:30, Celtics Wizards. 6 o'clock, NBA TV, Lakers Heat. Bulls Magic. Trailblazers Raptors. 7 o'clock, Hawks Hornets. 76ers Spurs. 7:30, Grizzlies Mavs. 8 o'clock, Nets Timberwolves. Pistons Nuggets. NBA TV, 8:30, Jazz Warriors. All right, now we'll move on to the NHL. We'll recap last night's games, and we will look ahead to tonight and the rest of the weekend. Bruins over the Capitals 4-3. Stars over the Sabres 5-4. Blue Jackets over the Flyers 2-1. Penguins over the Senators 6-4. Preds over the Jets 5-2. Panthers over the Oilers 6-0. Avs over the Kings 4-1. Golden Knights over the Canadiens 4-3 in overtime. And the Kraken over the Sharks 3-2. Now we look ahead to tonight. A big game at Madison Square Garden tonight. The Rangers. Oh, I thought it was at MSG. It's at Carolina. Oh, that completely changed my mindset of how I wanted to pick this game. That sucks. It's at Carolina. That's my mistake. I thought this game was at the Garden. Carolina's minus 170. Rangers plus 140. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Rangers plus 1/2 is minus 188. Carolina minus 1/2 is plus 148. I wanted to go with the Rangers, but they're on the road. I don't really trust the Rangers on the road against this caliber of a team, but they did go out and beat Tampa in Tampa, but they got creamed by the Panthers. So my pick for this game is going to be Carolina in regulation at minus 105. Penguins, Blue Jackets. Pittsburgh minus 200. Columbus plus 164. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 104. Unders minus 128. Pittsburgh minus 1/2 is plus 122. Columbus plus 1/2 is minus 150. I'm going to go with the Penguins puck line. Yes, they're on the second of a back-to-back. But Pittsburgh's playing great hockey right now, so I'm laying the minus 1/2 at plus 122. 7:30, the Stars and the Red Wings. The Stars are minus 115. The Detroit Red Wings are minus 104. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 104. Unders minus 115. Dallas minus 1/2 is plus 225. Detroit plus 1/2 is minus 290. I'm going with the Red Wings at home, minus 104. I swear, this is probably the last time I'm taking them if they continue to do me poorly. Coyotes, Islanders. Islanders minus 295. Arizona plus 235. Over under 5.5. Overs plus 110. Unders minus 134. Arizona plus 1/2 is minus 115. Islanders minus 1/2 is minus 105. Over 5.5 at plus 110, I think, is a play of good value. 8:30 NHL Network, Wild Blackhawks. Wild minus 134, Chicago plus 112, over under 6. Overs minus 102, unders minus 120. Wild minus 1/2 is plus 172. Blackhawks plus 1/2 is minus 215. Tough one. I'm going to go with the Wild in regulation at plus 105. 10 o'clock, the Panthers and the Canucks. So the Canucks finally back home. Panthers are minus 182. Vancouver's plus 150. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 140. Unders plus 114. Panthers minus 1/2 is plus 132. Canucks plus 1/2 is minus 162. A trend of the podcast for tonight is going with teams in regulation. I'm going to do the same here at Florida. Minus 115 in regulation over Vancouver. Lightning Ducks. Lightning minus 240. Anaheim plus 195. Over under 6. Minus 110 each way. Lightning minus 1/2 is plus 106. Ducks plus 1/2 is minus 130. I'm going to go under 6 for this one. And then the Blues and the Kraken. The Blues are minus 196. The Kraken are plus 162. Over under 6. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Blues minus 1/2 is plus 136. Kraken plus 1/2 is minus 168. For this one, I'm going to go with another under. I think that Jordan Binghamton will come through, and then I don't see the Kraken scoring lots. I'm going under 6, minus 115. All right, Saturday, 1 o'clock, NHL Network, Flyers, Sabres, 3 o'clock, Jets, Bruins, 7 o'clock, Hurricanes, Devils, Coyotes, Rangers, Sens, Caps, Habs, Avalanche, Maple Leafs, Islanders, 8:30, Red Wings, Predators, 9 o'clock, Blackhawks, Wild, 10 o'clock, Flames, Oilers, and 10:30, the Lightning and the Sharks. And then Sunday, 1 o'clock, NHL Network, Jets, Penguins, 6 o'clock, Senators, Blue Jackets, 7 o'clock, Kings, Devils, 9 o'clock, Panthers, Kraken, and 10 o'clock, the Blues and the Canucks. All right, the NFL Divisional Round picks. I almost said NHL Divisional Round. That would have been bad. That's not for another 4 months. So, the Division Round picks for the NFL. Should be fun. 4 games this weekend, 2 tomorrow and 2 on Sunday. First one, 4:30, CBS, Bengals, Titans. This will be Ian Eagle, Charles Davis on the call. My projections. Tennessee minus 5.25, total 47-15. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 47.5. I'm going to go with this game a slight edge to Tennessee. Everyone and their brother loved Cincinnati this week. This kind of reminds me of the Dallas line from last week, except I loved Dallas last week more than I loved Tennessee this week. That's why I say a slight edge to Tennessee. 8 o'clock on Fox, or 8:15 on Fox. 49ers, Packers, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi on the call. My projection is Green Bay by 8.25, total 47-25. Meanwhile, it's 5.5 and 47.5. I love the Packers. They're getting some key contributors back for this game. And I think that they're going to come out and perform unlike playoff performances against San Francisco in the past. And I also like the over in this game, too, as a slight edge. Sunday, 3 o'clock, NBC, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya on the call. Rams, Bucks. My projection is Tampa by 3.5, total 49.6. Meanwhile, it's 3 and 48.5. All my numbers have been relatively close for this. So this pick is actually going to be a slight over. I just personally feel that there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. And then I'm going to go with a slight edge to the Bucks as well. And last but not least, the best game of the weekend, 6:30 on CBS, Bills-Chiefs. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson on the call. My projection is Chiefs by 4.5, total 48.4. Meanwhile, it's only 1.5 and 53.5. This is a week where I really don't trust my lines. I actually like the under in this game. It's an unpopular pick. It's probably a contrarian pick. But I think that the Bills' defense is a unit that I think has been overlooked this whole season. Let me just check if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is playing. Full participation in practice. That's really good news for Kansas City. So for the podcast pick, I'm going to go under 53.5. And I also have an edge on the Chiefs. So if I had to pick winners straight up, I kind of think we're headed for Bengals-Bills. Bengals versus either of those two teams would be fun. And then I think that Green Bay and Tampa round 2 will be next. But let's face it, Bills-Chiefs is the de facto AFC Championship game. The winner of that game is going to the Super Bowl. And you'll have a rematch of last year's game. And then I think the toughest call is Bills-Chiefs. So I think the two road teams will win the AFC. And then I'm going to say the two home teams will win in the NFC. That's my prediction in terms of straight up picks. So I'm going to go against my projections in the AFC. All right, now I'll move on to the Australian Open. We will recap the matches from yesterday into early this morning. And we will look ahead and pick tonight and tomorrow's matches. All right. Third round results from yesterday from the men's side. 14-seeded Denis Shapovalov over 23-seeded Riley Opelka in 4 sets. 7-seeded Matteo Berrettini over Carlos Alcaraz Garcia in 5 sets. 17-seed Gail Monfils over 16-seed Christian Garin in 3 sets. Mjolnir Keklevic upsets 25-seeded Lorenzo Sonego in 4 sets. Jannik Skinner beats Steve Johnson in 3 sets. Oh, no, that's second round. Never mind. And then this morning, So going on right now is Aslan Karastev and Adrian Manarino. Manarino won one set. Karastev won 1. I'm going to say Karastev closes this one out in 4. And then finals, 6-seeded Rafael Nadal over 28-seeded Karen Kakdavov in 4 sets. 3-seed Alexander Zverev over Radu Albat in 3 sets. And 9-seeded Pablo Carreno over Sebastian Korda in 4 sets. Right now we look ahead to tonight and tomorrow. So at 10 o'clock tonight you have Benoit Paire and 4-seeded Stefanos Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas is minus 1,200. Paire is plus 720. And in set betting, I'm going to go Tsitsipas in 3-0 at minus 125. Yes, we're doing betting for this because we have time. Botic Van Dilschup and 2-seeded Daniil Medvedev. Medvedev is a giant minus 3,000 favorite. Van Dilschup is plus 1,750. And in set betting, I'm going to go Medvedev 3-0 minus 250. And 10-15, 15-seeded Roberto Bautista Agut and 20-seeded Taylor Fritz. It's a pick'em match, minus 108 each way. And set betting, tough one. I'm going to go with Bautista Agut 3-2 at plus 450. And at midnight Eastern tonight, you got Christopher O'Connell and Maxime Cressy. Cressy's minus 164. O'Connell's plus 140. Set betting, I'm going to go with Cressy in 4 sets. That's plus 330. 1 o'clock a.m., 24-seeded Dan Evans and 9-seeded Felix Auger-Aliassime. Aliassime is a slight minus 110 favorite. Evans is minus 106. And in terms of set betting, I'm going to go 3-1 Auger-Aliassime. And that is plus 410. You have 11-seeded Jannik Sinner and Taro Daniel. For this one, Sinner is minus 1,300. Daniel's now 9-1 underdog. I'm going to go Sinner 3-0 at minus 140. 3 o'clock a.m., third round, Pablo Andujar and 32-seeded Alex de Minaur. De Minaur's minus 1,200. Andujar is 7-1. I'm going to go with de Minaur 3-1. That is plus 270. 4:15 a.m., Alexander Rublev, or Andre Rublev, and the 27-seeded Martin Cilic. I'm going to go with Rublev, who's minus 330. Cilic, by the way, is plus 260. Rublev, I'm going to go in 4 sets. That is plus 260. And then 4th round, we're not going to do betting for the 4th round. 19-seeded Pablo Carreno and 7-seeded Matteo Berrettini. We'll go Berrettini in 4. We have 17-seeded Gail Monfils and Miomir Kekmanovic. We're going to go Monfils in 3. And then 3-seeded Alexander Zverev and 14-seeded Denis Shapovalov. We're going to go to Zverev in 4 sets. All right, now we're going to move over to the women's. Recap yesterday's 3rd round and this morning's 3rd round. Look ahead to tonight and tomorrow. All right, so 3rd round, Madison Keys over Wang Qiang in 3 sets. 5-seeded Maria Sakkari over 28-seeded Veronika Kudermetova in 2 sets. 8-seeded Paula Badosa over Marta Kostyuk in 3 sets. 4-seeded Barbora Krejcikova over 26-seeded Jelena Ostapenko in 3 sets. 21-seeded Jessica Pegula over Nuria Perez Diaz in 2 sets. And 24-seeded Victoria Azarenka over 15-seeded Elena Svitolina in 2 sets. This morning, 1-seeded Ashley Barty over 30-seeded Camila Giorgi in 2 sets. And Amanda Anisimova upsets number 13 Naomi Osaka in 3 sets. All right, tonight, 3rd round, 7 o'clock, you have 27-seeded Danielle Collins and Clara Tauson. Each player's minus 108. Set betting go Collins 3 which is, or 2-0, plus 210. 29 seeded Tamara Zinacek and Alex Cornet. Cornet's actually favored, minus 130. Zinacek's plus 112. And I think Cornet's going to win. I'm going to go Cornet 3. That's 3-1. 8-15, 31 seeded Marketa Vondrousova and 2 seeded Arena Sablenka. Sablenka's actually a dog here. Plus 136. Vondrousova's minus 160. I'm going to go with Sablenka 3 sets. That is plus 360. You never see a 2 seed as an underdog in the third round, but here we are. You got Kaya Kanepi and Madison Ingles. Kanepi's minus 350. Ingles is plus 280. We're going to go Kanepi in 3s, which is plus 270. 8:30, 14 seeded Simona Halep and Danka Kovnovic. Halep is minus 1,700. Kovnovic is plus 1,060. We're going to go Halep 2-0, minus 140. 440. And then 9 o'clock, 19 seeded Elise Mertens and Zhang Suai. We're going to go Mertens in 2, which is minus 130. And into tomorrow morning, third round, 7 seeded Iga Swiatek and 25 seeded Daria Kasatkina. We'll go Swiatek in 2. 5 o'clock a.m., Sorana Sarista and 10 seeded Anastasia Pavlyuchova. We'll go Pavlyuchova in 2. And then fourth round tomorrow, 21 seeded Jessica Pegula and 5 seeded Maria Sakkari. We'll go Sakkari in 3. 4 seeded Barbora Krejcikova and 24 seeded Victoria Azarenka. We're going to go Krejcikova in 3. Madison Keys and 8 seed Paula Badosa. We'll go Madison Keys in an upset in 3. And then 1 seeded Ashley Barty and Amanda Anisimova. We'll go Ashley Barty in 3 sets. All right, now I'll move on to golf. The American Express tournament. We're going to go over the current leaderboard for that. Tied for first at 10 under, Lucas Hodges and Patrick Cantlay. Lee Hodges, I should say. That's my bad. Tied for third with 8 under, Kangku Lee and Cam Young. Tied for fifth with 7 under. It's a big tie. Brant Snecker, Sam Ryder, Joseph Brumlett, Danny Lee, Taylor Hogue, Wyndham Clark, Seamus Power, and Grayson Sigg. Tied for 6th with 13 under is another pretty big tie. We're just going to go through notables at this point. John Rahm, Taylor Moore, Roger Sloan, Henry Higgs, Lucas Glover, Matt Trainer. Tied for 24th with 5 under, Doug Gibb, Jason Day, Dylan McCarthy, Patton Kazir, Zach Johnson, Seb Straka, Ryan Henley, Abraham Anser. Tied for 40th with 4 under, Adam Hadwin, Justin Rose, Harold Varner III, Bryce Garnett, Siwoo Kim, Mario Gillick. Tied for 52nd with 3 under, Brock Stewart, JT Potson, Cam Thompson, Scott Stallings, Pat Perez, Camilo Vegas, Charles Howell III, Matthew Neesmith, Brendan Steele, Henrik Norlander, Tyler Duncan, Sanjay M., Scotty Scheffler. Tied for 73rd with 2 under, Patrick Rogers, Alex Noren, Adam Putnam, Vincent Whaley, Brendan Hagee, Hudson Swafford, Luke List, Ryan Moore, Russell Knox, James Hahn, Lucas Donald. Tied for 96 with 1 under, Brendan Todd, Emiliano Grillo, Patrick Reed, Doc Redmond, Chris Kirk. Tied for 110th at even, Jonathan Vegas, Tony Finau, Nate Watney, Adam Schenk, Chester V, Keith Hickok, Gary Woodland. Tied for 119th with 1 over, Ricky Fowler, Kevin Strillman, Dylan Fratelli, Adam Landry, Cam Champ. Tied for 129th with 2 over, Scott Stallings, Cam Triangle, Carlos Ortiz, Richie Wierenski. Tied for 143rd with 3 over, Corey Connors, Taylor Gooch, JJ Spawn. Tied for 150th with 4 over. Or no, Sebastian Munoz was in the 140 third tie. Never mind. And tied for 154th with 6 over Phil Mickelson, and Adam Cook, and Matt Wolff. All right, now move on to news and notes for today as we head into the weekend. Sad news to talk about this morning. Meatloaf passes away at the age of 74. That's just really sad news. Obviously, Meatloaf, a lot of great songs. Bad Out of Hell, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, I Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That. So many fun songs. It's just sad. So many celebrity deaths early on in the year. Lost Bob Saget. Betty White was technically 2021. But this year we've had Bob Saget. And now we have Meatloaf. It's just so sad. Thoughts and prayers to everybody involved with Meatloaf and like his family and the rock community. Just awful news to hear this morning. So now to the sports side of it. Charles Barkley rips the Lakers in an epic rant. So Ernie Johnson goes, "We've got a guest standing by," and Chuck goes, "Will the Lakers still suck when we get back from this interview?" Wow, the Lakers still suck when we get back from this interview. That's great. Oh my God. I mean, Charles Barkley is just pure entertainment. And now we wait for a potential LeBron rip on Twitter. Just kidding. I don't know if LeBron would rip Charles Barkley. But I've seen LeBron do crazier stuff before. But LeBron walked out of a press conference to go check out a movie as he ignores questions about Russell Westbrook getting benched pretty much. And then Penny Hardaway, the head coach of Memphis, goes off in a presser after the loss to SMU. "Stop asking me stupid effing questions," he said. And I thought about SMU for best bet yesterday, but I regret it because best bet lost yesterday. I had Winthrop minus the points. They won by 2, and they were minus 3.5. Women's Hoop Hall of Fame finalists: Becky Hammon, Delisha Milton-Jones, Penny Taylor, among the notable names for this. And this year's inductees will be announced on February 14th on ESPN2 during the broadcast of Maryland-Iowa's women's game starting at 9 p.m. And the induction ceremony is set for June 11th in Knoxville. So that is really cool. Tia Cooper returning to the Sparks after signing the qualifying offer. Nets and Paul Millsap part ways as they agree for him to find a new team where he could have a greater contribution. The Texans interviewed Josh McCown for its opening head coaching job. What are they doing interviewing former players? Josh McCown, Jerron Mayo. Dak Prescott fined $25,000 for post-game comments regarding fans throwing objects at officials. If you didn't see the Super Bowl halftime trailer, you should check it out. Snoop cruising in a lowrider, Eminem versus Slim Shady, and I suggest you all check it out. MLB and the Players Association meeting on Monday in person to make a counteroffer for the proposal in a second meeting since the lockout. The Rays' split city plan got nixed as the league killed its team's proposal to play half its home games in Montreal and will look for a new space in the Tampa area. Robot umps to be used in AAA as the league to experiment with automated strike zone in the highest minor league level. Fred Warner is playing on Saturday night, and Bosa is on track. So that's good news for the Niners. But that bad news for the Packers. Marquez Valdes-Scantling unlikely to play tomorrow night because of a back injury. Trey Hendrickson to play Saturday against the Titans. So that's good news for Cincinnati. So an interesting subplot of the Rangers-Hurricanes game is that Tony DeAngelo is now a member of the Hurricanes, as he speaks up about being waived last year by the Rangers. I disagree with the way that was handled. Well, guess what? He's the reason why the Rangers underachieved last year. And, well, part of the reason. There was so much turmoil. He was a big part of the turmoil off the field, which led to the firings of John Davidson and Jeff Gorton. So, and the firing of David Quinn, although I just don't think David Quinn was that good of a head coach in the NHL. But Tony DeAngelo was someone that was a huge distraction for the Rangers last year. Now he's off the team and the team's doing better. And meanwhile, he's not been a distraction for the Hurricanes to his credit. The Giants narrowed down GM options. Second interview guys, Adam Peters of the 49ers, the assistant GM. Bills assistant GM Joe Schoen, and Chiefs executive Ryan Poles. I think Schoen's getting the job. And I'm going to say that Brian DeBall is probably the leader in the clubhouse to get the Giants job as the head coach. I don't like Leslie Frazier. He was a failure head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, so I don't think that he would be perceived highly as much as Brian DeBall. Lonzo Ball out 6 to 8 weeks after having surgery on his left knee after being diagnosed with a small meniscus tear. So, 2 months to no Lonzo Ball. He'll be back for the stretch run for the Bulls at least. And in college football, head coaches visit Arch Manning, I should say, as Saban, Kirby Smart, and other top coaches will get a look at the top recruit this week. So Arch Manning and where he picks to go is going to be an interesting subplot down the road. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. There was one that jumped out to me, and I said, okay, that's going to be best bet. And that game is in college basketball, and the team that I'm going to be laying points as a favorite is going to be St. Bonaventure, minus 5.5 against Duquesne. I'm like 2 units for St. Bonaventure, minus 5.5 against Duquesne. All right, so that's it for today. I'll be back on Monday going over all the playoff games and looking ahead to everything going on Monday. Tonight I might have 2 guests on the show to talk about divisional round picks. We'll see. And then news and notes and best bet, obviously, for Monday's show as well. Have a great weekend, everyone.